What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk with Justin. Today's video, we are going to do a 2-day series where we review what every NFL team should do in the offseason. We're going to look at every team's cap space, impending free agents, potential free agents they could sign, and some draft picks they can make. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Today, we are going to talk about every AFC team, and tomorrow we're going to talk about every NFC team. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below a wish list for your team, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. All right, so the first team that we have is the Baltimore Ravens. A quick little summary here before we start. The Ravens currently right now have $19.5 million in cap space. That is 16th in the NFL. The top 5 needs for the Ravens are edge rusher, defensive lineman, offensive line, a cornerback, and a safety. So looking at some of their outgoing free agents, some players I think they should want to try to bring back. Tyler Linderbaum, I think, is a big one. I think that he is going to test the market, though, at least see what's out there for him in free agency. Isaiah Likely, I think, is a good player, but I don't think he's going to be back in Baltimore. If he is, I thought they would have signed him to an extension already. And then you have other players right here. These are all the Ravens free agents. DeAndre Hopkins is also a free agent. You got to wonder, is he going to come back on a cheap one-year deal, or is he going to take another contract somewhere else? Tylan Wallace is an underrated player. And then that's basically just their list. David Ajabo. And yeah, that's their list. And then some potential free agents that they can target. We'll probably try to look at like the top 25, maybe no more than top 50. Obviously they need edge. Maybe they can make a move for Jalen Phillips. They already need offensive line, so especially if they don't bring back Tyler Linderbaum, they would make a move for the interior. Odafe Owe could make a return if he's not back with the Chargers. Boye Mafe is a name too. Rashid Shaheed, maybe he'd go to Baltimore. I feel like they also need a receiver. Elijah Vera Tucker, if you want to go inside. David Edwards. Let's see here. Maybe Kate Otten if Isaiah Likely walks out the door. Player like Wandale Robinson. It's going to be interesting to see what the Ravens try to attack. But if I had to make a guess, I think that the Ravens should focus on improving in the trenches this offseason. That is up front and their defensive line. Focus on being more physical than other teams, playing with more physicality. Some potential connections that the Ravens have. Jalen Phillips, like I've just mentioned, Odafe Owe, Rashid Shaheed. Then you can look at Zion Johnson. He has a connection, obviously, to Jesse Minter. And then a couple players here. I think Joey Bosa, I don't know if he's going to stay in Buffalo or whatnot, but those are just some of the main players that they can target. So I think if you're the Ravens, you're definitely checking in on Jalen Phillips, Odafe Owe, Rashid Shaheed, and then either Zion Johnson or who is the other guy that I just said on the street free agent for the Ravens? Let's see, David Edwards. Those are the two line. And then we'll look a little bit briefly at the draft real quick. Peter Woods is a huge landing spot for the Baltimore Ravens. And then if not, you can get Kendrick Falk. And then receiver Jordan Tyson would do really good. Carnell Tate. But I think ideally, depending on how free agency goes, I can see the Ravens getting an edge rusher or a wide receiver. All right, moving on, we have the Buffalo Bills. And obviously, a little while ago, actually like 2 hours ago, the Bills made a huge trade. They got DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears for a 2026 second-round pick. So I think you can kind of scratch off wide receiver off their team needs. And then you can look at their negative $6 million in cap space. They have they only have 3 first-round picks this draft. Is that right? Hold up. Is that just their top 3? It's probably their top 3. Okay, I was gonna say. But yeah, Buffalo, I think edge is a huge point for them. Outside of Greg Rousseau, you didn't have much there. Cornerback, you definitely need. Interior offensive line. I know you have a couple of offensive line for free agency. David Edwards, Connor McGovern. A lot of decent role players for the Bills are going to be free agents. Both kickers besides Bass, obviously. The punter, Damar Hamlin's going to be a free agent. Larry, he's older. Brandon Cooks is going to be a free agent. Mitch Trubisky, have to see if they'll bring him back. Hopefully, Shaq Thompson can return to Carolina. Daquan Jones, 35 years old. Gabe Davis. But yeah, for top Buffalo free agents, David Edwards, I think, is a solid guard. I know he's older. McGovern's a solid center. But so if they don't bring those two back, then they're definitely going to have to address the trenches in the offseason. So I think the main thing for Buffalo is just getting more physical up front, like I said with Baltimore, and also adding a little bit to the secondary. Um, some connections that they have that would address that. I don't think they'd really pursue Franklin Myers. Wyatt Teller, maybe they get him on a cheap deal. I know he's 32 years old. Um, yeah, a lot of these players are older that are connected to Buffalo, which makes sense given the Brandon Beane's track record. But some free agents that they could target in the top 25, maybe if Linderbaum becomes available. Linderbaum is going to be a very popular name in the market. They don't have the money for Trey Hendrickson. Let's see here. Any corners? What corners should they pursue? Alante Taylor, if he leaves the Saints, I could definitely see him going there. Here's some corners that, or excuse me, I clicked linebackers. Corners for the Buffalo Bills that they could potentially target. Um, Reek Wolin is there. Nashawn Wright, he's underrated. Josh Joe, if he becomes available. Greg Newsome. So there's definitely options for the Bills when they want to address their corner need. And I think that's really all they need to do. Obviously, just a little linebacker too. For the mock draft, um, I think it's just really best player available. They have the, let's see, 26th pick. So I think, obviously you won't be able to get a top player with that, but I think a receiver could make sense, or a linebacker, or somewhere along that edge area for the Buffalo Bills. All right, looking at the cheapskate, I mean Cincinnati Bengals. Here's some of their operations here. GM since 1999. What? Wow. Head coach Zach Taylor since 2019. And then there's their coordinators. But Bengals, they have $50 million, which is top 10 in cap space in the league, so they're doing well financially. Their top five needs are edge, offensive line, corner, safety, and defensive tackle. They're gonna lose Trey Hendrickson no matter what. So that's definitely kind of a problem. But good thing is you can replace him with a edge rusher. And this is acting up a bit here. I apologize, technology issues. But you can replace him with a edge rusher. We'll take a look at what edges you can replace him with in a second here. Joseph Asai is also going to be a free agent. Geno Stone, Joe Flacco, a lot of players who have been with the Bengals for a little bit, but it's not a really long list. So they can kind of keep who they want as long as they want to stay. Some edge rushers for the Bengals to consider. Jalen Phillips, Franklin Myers, Quiddy Pay, Kavion Chassleon, Joseph, he's on the Bengals. Arnold Ebigite, Bradley Chubb, maybe he's a free agent right now. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of options at edge this offseason if the Bengals happen to do lose Trey Hendrickson, which I 100% think they will. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Meanwhile, for the draft, their whole mock draft order is loaded with edge rusher as it should. I think, obviously, Ruben Bain is the best edge rusher in this draft, so I think he's going to go top 5, top 10. But where are the Bengals? They're like 12th, 10th. Okay. TJ Parker's in play. Keldrick Falk is in play. Cassius Howell's in play. David Bailey's in play. So they're going to get a good edge regardless of if Ruben Bain's on the board or not. So Bengals, they're not in a bad spot. They just need to build on the offensive line. You need to spend a lot of money there and get an edge rusher to replace Trey. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns. Don't know how Andrew Berry still has his job, but he does. They don't have a defensive coordinator, and they are negative 16 in cap space. They need everything: quarterback, offensive line, wide receiver, cornerback, linebacker. For quarterback, we'll go over that one. I think the best option for the Browns at quarterback, I don't even know. It's not my problem. Um, I don't even know, dude. Like, I don't know with the Browns. I really don't. Russell Wilson? I don't know. I don't know what their plan is. They don't have one. They don't know what their own plan is. But wide receiver, they need a lot. The Browns need a lot, and they have no money to do it. The Browns are going to have a terrible offseason like they have been. There's just not really much to talk about. And I feel bad for whoever goes sixth overall to the Cleveland Browns. We got the Denver Broncos. They are in a good spot. They have 26 million in cap space. Um, they need a linebacker, tight end, defensive line, running back, and offensive line. So they need to get better in the trenches up front. But I think tight end is a need for this Broncos team with only Evan Ingram in play. I think if they get one of these players, Kate Ott and Isaiah Likely Chigakwanku, Dallas Goddard, David Njoku, it's going to take that offense to another level than what it was last year. And then if they somehow get their hands on Sadiq, which they'd have to trade in the top 10 for, that would be insane too. But um, definitely a lot of promise for the tight end position for the Broncos, and they have the money to do it. Some outgoing players that they have pending free agents. It is, let's see how long of a list it is. It's not too long. Justin Trinette, I've always thought is underrated. Singleton's a good tackle monster. McMillan's a good slot corner. He's coming back to Denver though. I think he was like a 1 year 15. I don't know what it was, but running back is going to be interesting too. I know they have RJ Harvey right now, but I think this is a very I relatively think this is a loaded running back free agency. Like, I think K9's obviously really good. ETN's solid. Rico's solid. Tyler Algier's finally getting a real opportunity to start somewhere. I could see them getting somebody like Tyler Algier. It won't be too expensive, and he could split with RJ Harvey. But Denver is in a good spot. Or they can draft Jeremiah Love or Price or Coleman if they're there when they draft Nicholas Singleton. I've heard a lot of good things about too. Houston, 12-5. Nick Caserio is their GM since 2021. D'Amico is their head coach since 2023. And they have a new, second year offensive coordinator coming up. They just got David Montgomery. They just brought him in from Detroit. They have negative 4.2 million cap space, so I don't think they're going to do quite that much. They have the 28th pick in the draft. Houston, they really need to just target offensive line. They got running backs now. I think they're set with David and Woody, but they need offensive line. And let's see any connections that they have there. Jeremiah, he's a little older. 28th pick. There's no way the Texans don't take the best offensive lineman there. It's probably going to be either Caden Proctor or Caleb Lemieux. Or they could take defensive tackle too. Francis is obviously the best offensive lineman in this draft, I think, but he's obviously not going to be there. So wouldn't mind them adding a receiver too on a cheap deal. Maybe they go with could see a Diggs reunion. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind maybe Deebo Samuel. Just somebody to bring in to give a little more juice to that receiver room. It's not a bad room, don't get me wrong. And then, yeah, so Houston, they just need to get offensive line. That should be their main focus. They are a really good team. They have one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the NFL. They just need to add to the offensive unit. We have their neighbor in their division, the Indianapolis Colts. Chris Ballard is their GM since 2017. I am not sure how he still has a job, but he does. Colts. They have 33 million in cap space. They're doing well. They need edge, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, and safety. A lot of teams need edge this year, which is a very important position in football. It's going to be interesting to see what the Colts do. Will they bring back Kwity Paye? If not, they got to replace him. Luckily for them, there's a lot of good options there at edge rusher and free agency, and there's also some good options in the draft. Colts don't have a first-round pick. They used it for Sauce Gardner. So yeah, they're gonna have to definitely go in free agency here. We'll look at some connections for the Indianapolis Colts at edge rusher. Let's see. I could see maybe Hassan Reddick going on a cheap deal there. Maybe DJ Reader. I think DJ Reader is more of a defensive tackle. I think every team's gonna be in on Trey Hendrickson. Colts are a candidate for him too, honestly. I think that would be an aggressive signing that they do. But I really think this team does need to be more aggressive this offseason, typically, than they usually are. Receiver, I think this Colts receiver room is going to look a lot different this year. They're not going to, next year, I mean, they're not going to have Alec Pierce. Michael Pittman may get traded any day, even though he's a good player. Josh Downs is a good receiver, but you don't want him as your wide receiver one. So they also need a wide receiver, I think. And if you go there, there's kind of your options and the connections route. Yeah. So interesting to see what the Colts do. I could see them getting somebody like maybe Debo Samuel or Jalen Naylor. He's underrated to bring in, but it's kind of crazy to see Tyreek Hill is not even a top 100 free agent. But that's the Colts. All right, moving on for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, last season they lost in the wild card round after winning their division with a 13-4 record. They need a corner, linebacker, offensive line, safety, and a wide receiver. Some outgoing free agents that the Jaguars have. Let's see. Oh, we're having a little tech error again. But some outgoing free agents that the Jaguars have. Obviously, Travis Etienne is one of them at the running back spot, so they got to replace him either through free agency and the draft. Devin Lloyd is a big one too. I think he's a very good linebacker. I'm hoping he goes to Carolina. Greg Newsome, solid corner. They got him from the Browns in a trade. But other than that, it's a pretty short list. Jaguars do not have a first round pick for the trade of Travis Hunter. But then Jaguars also need a corner, which is probably their top need. I don't think they really need a receiver, even though it says they could use one. I think Brian Thomas Jr. and Jacoby Myers are just fine. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will bounce back next year. A lot of options at corner, though. I could really see Nahshon Wright, Reek Woolen going to Jacksonville. I think this will be an intriguing spot for free agents to sign based off the success they've had last year. And obviously, Liam Cohen has done an incredible job since he took the job in 2025 for the Jaguars. In the draft, obviously going to be very hard to tell for the Jaguars. But if they go corner, look out for some of these guys. Keontae Scott, I could really see going to the Jaguars. Yeah, the Jaguars are in a pretty good spot. They just got to kind of fill their needs and keep adding to what they're building. Kansas City Chiefs, obviously 6-11. They were third in the AFC West last season. They only won 6 games, missed the playoffs. They need a tight end, whether Travis Kelce comes back or not, because he's going to retire after this year. Potential options, maybe you mix Dallas Goedert with Travis Kelce. Maybe you bring in Cade Otton. I could see him playing there. But the problem is with the Chiefs is they have negative 5.7 mil in cap space, so it's going to be tougher. David Njoku might want to go play for a good team like the Chiefs, so he might go there. It would be insane if they got Sadiq. They have the 9th overall pick. I do not want Kenyon Sadiq to go play with Mahomes. That would be too overpowered. But yeah, Chiefs, outgoing free agents. They got, gotta switch it to all. Obviously, they already cut Mike Donna. Leo Chanel is a very underrated linebacker, in my opinion. If he gets a good opportunity somewhere, he will play good. But the Chiefs, like I said, it's going to be interesting to tell if they kind of head that route to where they are rebuilding or if they're just changing some things up and retooling a bit. It's definitely hard to tell. They also need a receiver, too. Chargers, their division rival, went 11-6 last season, second in the AFC West. They lost in the wild card game. Joe and Jim have been there since 2024. New offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel. That's definitely exciting for them. Some outgoing free agents they had is Odafe Owe, Zion Johnson, Khalil Mack, and Jameer Slater. Some of these guys on defense, it might be harder to bring back because Midzer is gone, and they don't really know, like Chris is a defensive coordinator. So Chargers, they have the 22 overall pick. Chargers have $85 million in cap space, so they could really go crazy. They need to improve their offensive line, obviously. Bradley Bozeman retired. He didn't play good this year anyway. But some offensive linemen they could target is really 2 or 3 of these guys on this list. They really need offensive linemen really bad. Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater are really good tackles, so you ideally want to target the interior offensive line. And then edge, they need that too. Obviously, Khalil Mack is I don't know. He's probably gonna play another year, maybe with Chargers, maybe not. I think he wants to come back. I read Adafe Owe, see if he stays, but if not, you got to go for. They could make a play for Trey Hendrickson. A big positive for the Chargers is the money they have. They have a lot of it, and I guarantee you that they will be aggressive this offseason, knowing that they have a good team on paper, and they got to do a better job of supporting Justin Herbert, especially at the offensive line. Raiders, interesting. They have 89 million cap space, which is obviously a lot. They could get a lot in the offseason with that. Some outgoing. I don't think their core is that bad. Genty and Bowers. You need a receiver or two for the Raiders. I think that's a huge need. You also need a quarterback. So will they draft Fernando Mendoza, number one overall pick? That is a belief. Um, but ideally, will they also sign a veteran because of how bad Geno Smith played too? I think if you get one or two of these wide receivers, that would benefit them. I can maybe see somebody like, I don't know, Juwan Jennings playing here or Debo Samuel. Um, yeah, they definitely. Jalen Coker is still on the Panthers. He's going to be with the Panthers, by the way. They still need to improve wide receiver group. But honestly, John Spytek, he's done a fair job since Raiders GM. And Klub Klubiak, I was high on him when he got hired for the Raiders job. I think he's going to do a great job there. But it's going to be interesting to see if the Raiders stop being the Raiders and actually be smart. They have the opportunity. We will talk about quarterbacks because they do need one. If they don't draft one, I could see them going after Malik Willis, maybe Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray and Brock Bowers would be a good duo, but it's kind of like Trey McBride already. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do, but I would almost guarantee that they're going Mendoza at 1 for the Raiders. Let's see here. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins. New coach, Jeff Hafley. New GM, John Eric Sullivan. John Eric Sullivan is from the Green Bay Packers. Jeff Hafley's from the Green Bay Packers, too. Defensive coordinator. Um, Need a quarterback. They have $0.8 million in cap space. And I will say this right now. The quarterback that will be starting under center for the Miami Dolphins next year is Kyler Murray. I can 100% see this happening. If you look at the the Dolphins offense, he's going to see Devon Achane and Jalen Waddle and want to come here. Kyler Murray is going to play for the Miami Dolphins this year. If it fails, they will draft one. But with the 11th overall pick, I don't see Miami targeting a quarterback. I think they go offensive line. I think it makes more sense. Maybe Spencer Fanu or Francis. And then also maybe getting a tight end in the draft. Maybe they get Sadiq. But realistically, best offensive player available will go to Miami at 11. And I could definitely see Kyler Murray going to the the Dolphins. Yeah, that will definitely be an interesting situation to see play out. Next up, we have the New England Patriots. GM Elliott Wolf went to the Super Bowl in his second year. He has Mike Vrabel with him, Super Bowl first year. Obviously, 14-3, first in the AFC East, just lost the Super Bowl. But New England, they have $40 million in cap space. They have the 31st overall pick. Main need is edge. There's some players there that they could pursue. We already looked at the edge a lot. I think New England is just a fact of just getting better, improving across the board. Don't be too aggressive for one player. Kind of balance the team out more like they did. This team definitely is not bad, but you can always improve. And I think they do need to improve this wide receiver room, especially since they released Stephon Diggs. Alec Pierce could go here. Mike Evans could go here. And then they could also draft maybe one of these receivers who end up falling to them. But yeah, New England, just don't be overly too aggressive in this offseason, I think. The New York Jets, they need a lot. Quarterback, I could see Tua playing here. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I could just see it. Justin Fields probably won't start for the Jets next year. They have Aaron Glenn, who might get fired after 2 games next year. You never know. I really don't know with the Jets. I really don't know. I don't know if they'll go quarterback number 2 because of their track history of taking a quarterback that early. I think they should just go best player available, get an interior offensive lineman or a good corner. You got to replace Sauce Gardner. We'll take a look at the corner position for the Jets that they could target, any connections that they have. Yeah, let's go back to Street. Yeah, Lante Taylor, Reek Wall, and Deshaun Wright. Those three are really underrated. The Jets could somehow get one of those. I don't think that, even though they have $88 million, the Jets are not going to be an appealing place to play. It just isn't. It's going to be tougher to get a lot of free agents for this team and the regime that they currently have, especially after hiring Frank Reich as their offensive coordinator. Oh my goodness, what were they thinking? All right, moving on, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and obviously their main question is they just got a new coach, Mike McCarthy, but the main question is what will happen with Aaron Rodgers? Will he retire? Will he come back another year? Will he join another team? They have the eighth most cap space in the NFL. They have the 21st overall pick in the draft. Um, if they don't bring back Aaron Rodgers, I think this team will sign a free agent. Um, Potential options, maybe trade for Dak Prescott. That could be a world there for the Green Bay Packers. But I think quarterback, maybe Kyler Murray. I think Kyler Murray is probably the best quarterback free agent up there with Malik Willis. Um, Kirk Cousins is okay. Phillip Rivers play quarterback for the Steelers next year. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, that's the main question. And then obviously they need a wide receiver really bad. They have DK Metcalf, so they probably want that smaller receiver that could stretch the field. Maybe somebody like Romeo Dobbs if they target him, but he's going to sign with the Carolina Panthers. He told me that the other day. So, going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do. Also need corner, safety, offensive line, but their main question right now is Aaron Rodgers going to be their quarterback next year? And if not, who? Then finally for the AFC, we got the Tennessee Titans. They went 3-14, missed the playoffs last year. New coach Robert Saleh, new offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, new defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. So they changed everything up. Second most cap space. They have the fourth overall pick. Tennessee, they're gonna sign everybody. Okay, they're gonna sign everybody. They have $93 million. They're probably an intriguing place to play with their new coaching staff. They're gonna go crazy. They're gonna sign. Quarterback's obviously Cam Ward. I'd like to see them get a veteran to help him. They'll get a wide receiver or two. They'll sign an edge rusher or two. They'll get a corner. They'll get everybody, and what they don't get, they will get in the draft with their fourth overall pick. Maybe Ervo Reese. I can see him really going to Tennessee. He's a strong candidate for that job. But this is the AFC. Comment down below what you want your NFL team to do in the draft. Tomorrow, I will do the same thing for the NFC. So I just talk about the cap space each team has, their impending free agents, some free agents that they may sign, and something they may do in the draft, what positions they should go pursue. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below what you want to see your team do, and make sure you come back tomorrow for the NFC, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.